Hello out there, Facebook land. Alright, so we're going to have to do this from my cell phone, so it's going to be a much smaller screen than I'm used to. But we'll make it work. Welcome to my new kitchen. It kind of looks similar to my old kitchen because it's got the same color scheme with the dark woods and the grayish countertops. If you can't tell, I kind of like that color scheme. So hopefully in the coming months, years, you might see a nice little transformation here in the kitchen, but for now I got what I got. So for those of you that don't know, I have relocated up to Las Vegas, Nevada, and so far I'm enjoying it, kind of getting settled into my house. I'll do a quick tour of my very messy area. So here's my kitchen. You can see the really cool thing is I've got a walk-in pantry. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this very easily, but look at that. That is awesome. Walk-in pantry. And then as you see behind me, I actually have a formal dining area. What's right here in this section here is supposed to be like a sitting area. But yeah, that's just going to be, we eat there. And then we're going to sit and chat there while we're cooking. And then let's see if I can point properly. Up there is the actual living spaces and all that. So, hey Mary. So just getting settled in to the Vegas location. Some cool things for those of you that knew where I lived in Tucson. One of the first things I did was I drove around anywhere 10 miles away from my house, and I found so many things. Where I lived in Tucson, 10 miles away from my house was I-10. So really the only thing between my house and 10 minutes away was the fairgrounds and the Roadrunner. And Argenziano's. Don't forget about Argenziano's. So shout out to them. Great pizza. Anyhow, so now I've got a plethora of things. I'm discovering Uber Eats, which means I'm not cooking as much, which means this might be getting a little bit bigger. But anyhow, so finally here, finally kind of getting my kitchen put together. As you guys saw, there's still a lot of boxes around the house and such. But today I decided to kick off that healthy eating, so I stopped getting Uber Eats and eating out and drive-thrus and all that jazz. We're going to make some peanut butter protein bars. So it's actually a super easy no-bake recipe. There is a little bit of a stovetop number, so I get to show off one of our stainless steel cookware items, which is awesome. If you guys can hear, this is a really solid piece of cookware. Our whole entire stainless line is amazing. So for those of you that haven't been following my Whip It Up Wednesdays, one of the things I'm saving up for between now and November is actually my marathon. So marathon training is going pretty well. Can't say it's been spot on through the move, but I'm back in it. I've got a great coach. He's been awesome and understanding and really giving me some great tips and motivation. So anyhow, let's get cooking. This recipe, like I said before, it's a peanut butter protein bar. It contains between 10 to 15 grams of protein, depending on the type of protein powder you use, 26 grams of carbs, and like 2 or 3 grams of fat, again, depending on the protein powder you use. So today we're going to be using 3 of my favorite products. I already talked about our stainless steel cookware, but also our batter bowls. So this is what we're going to mix the protein bar in. And then the absolute favorite, if you ever host a show for me, I always do a special for this because I think everyone needs to own one of these, are a brownie pan. So the recipe actually calls to put it on a cookie sheet and then cut it into 10 pieces. But why spend the time and energy cutting something when I can just have nice portions here? So we're going to be using the brownie pan. I'll also be using one of the guest specials for July, which is a free spatula. So if you host a show and you have your guests come, or even if you buy from me in July, and you buy over $75, or your guests buy over $75 worth of awesome cooking stuff, they get a free spatula. And we have a bunch of different ones. So this is our large, what I call spoonula, and then we have our small one, and then I just threw the skinny one in here. This is one of our skinny ones. So as you can tell, I really like the spoonula type, the cupped, and you'll see why today. So we're going to be using the large one today. And then ingredients-wise, I've felt this is a very easy recipe because it's Rice Krispies, crispy rice. PB2, this cuts down on the fat, and it calls for agave syrup. I'm not a big fan of agave syrup, so I just use honey. It's a little bit sweeter, like higher on the sugar content, but I like honey a little bit better. Any protein powder. The thing that I like about this recipe is every once in a while there's protein. I shouldn't show the brand because I don't like this one. Every once in a while there's a protein powder that just doesn't mix very well in a shake. That's really great for any of these kind of protein bars that you make. So let's see, peanut butter, honey, crispy rice, protein powder, and then the toppings. So we've got some dried roasted peanuts, pretzels, and peanut butter chips. Again, if you want to cut out a little bit of fat or a little bit of sugar, you can reduce some of those things as well. And then the last product that we're going to be using today and showcasing is going to be our manual food processor. And you guys who have been following my Whip It Up Wednesdays know that I use this in pretty much every recipe because, seriously, I don't like to chop things because usually these end up getting chopped more than the product. So in here we're going to chop up those peanuts, the pretzels, and the peanut butter chips, mix it all up, and then top our protein bars with those. So let's go ahead and get ready to go. So using our measure all cup, we're going to measure out 5 cups of Rice Krispie treats. If you wanted to wag it, you can just kind of pour it in the bowl, but we're trying to be good so you can see how I make the recipe. So this is the 2-cup measure all, and I'm actually using the wet side right now just because it's a little bit easier with the Rice Krispies. But those of you that don't know, it comes with a wet and a dry side, and really what it's good for is if I was using real peanut butter instead of making my own and reducing the fat, if it called for, say, a cup of peanut butter, I would, there we go. I would move this to about a cup here, and then I would stuff it with the peanut butter, level it out, and then when I was ready to go, just kind of push, and it's kind of like a scraper, so you don't have to worry about kind of digging it out of the cup holder. So this recipe actually calls for soy crisps. I don't like soy-based stuff. I'll leave Y out, but it says to kind of crunch it up a little bit. So I'll make these a little bit smaller using judge utensils, also known as my hands. You could throw that in the manual food processor and pop it a couple times, but honestly, your hands are a little bit faster this time. Now, if it was onions, yeah, manual food processor. Alright, so we got that, and then we're going to use our adjustable measuring spoon. So this adjusts anywhere from 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon, and we also have a smaller size that adjusts anywhere from 1/8 of a teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon. So this recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of protein powder to be mixed in. So I just do real quick 1, 2, 3, 4. I know everyone wants to watch me just sit here and count, huh? Alright, and then actually using my mix and chop, I'm just going to mix this up, and it also kind of chops up the Rice Krispie treats a little bit more. So if you want to skip the step where you throw your hands in there, you can, because you can just kind of throw the mix and chop in there. It's got a nice heaviness to it, so I'm really not using much muscle. As you can tell, I'm not really flexing, even though I don't know if you can actually tell whether or not I'm flexing anyways. So anyhow, we're going to stir that up, mix it up, combine it nice and easily. There we go. We're good there. And then we're going to move over to my new to me stove. So good, I didn't kill myself. And we are going to add in, it says 6 tablespoons of honey. So I'm actually going to do 4.5 to 5. The ingredients that I gave you before, the macro breakdown that I gave you before is for 6 tablespoons of honey. And again, using the spoonula, even the large one, it gets right in there, kind of scoop it up. There we go. And then it calls for 1/2 cup of water. For those of you that don't know, 4 tablespoons is a 1/4 cup of water. And so I'm just using the same thing that I used for the honey. I'm just gonna, and that's our Easy Read measuring cup. I'm sorry, I forgot to actually mention what I was using. So that's the Easy Read measuring cup. There we go. Get some of that heat back. And that just makes it real easy because it's from the level, so it's really good for measuring liquids. And then for the peanut butter, it called for, I think it was 6 tablespoons of the peanut butter as well, but let me just make sure so I don't end up with too much peanut butter. Yep, 6 tablespoons of peanut butter. And this doesn't have to be super precise because, again, we're just kind of making up a batch of peanut butter. For those of you that don't know, PB Chew is actually a really cool dried peanut butter. Ooh, I hope that was 4, 5, 6. If not, I put 1 extra tablespoon, so we'll figure that out soon. It's a really nice dried peanut butter. So when you're packing stuff, it's a lot lighter than regular peanut butter. Mix it in with some water, some honey if you want to sweeten it up a little bit, agave nectar if you want to reduce the sugar content. And then, again, the biggest thing is you want to get all the clumps out. So I would show you. Let's see if I can show you this. So it's a little clumpy right now. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to reduce the heat. I haven't quite learned my stovetop yet. Reduce the heat to make sure we get some of those clumps out before it boils. And what you're supposed to do is mix this together, no clumps, and you're going to let it heat up until it boils, and then you're going to let it boil for 15 to 20 seconds. And that just really kind of helps evaporate off some of that water and really get the sweetness there. The cool thing about this recipe for me, because I'm a little kid at heart, is when I pour it over the protein powder and rice puffs or Rice Krispies mix, you still get the snap, crackle, and pop. It's kind of cool. So while I do this, all right, it's nice and smooth. We're going to turn that heat back up, try to get this to boil. So what questions do you guys have about Pampered Chef while I'm whipping this up? For those of you that don't know, July is an awesome month to host. We have double rewards in July. So that means if your party earns more than $650, so that's if your guests buy more than $650 worth of awesome goodies, then you get double the free money. So I will post that on my Facebook group, Get Cookin' PC Style with CB. And you guys can see that there, what that actually translates into. So if you're looking for any of our big ticket items, say our knife set or our stainless steel set, this is a really great opportunity to do it. The other thing that I've gotten familiar with and want to really start offering my friends is a lot of you guys have established kitchens. I know I do. But we also do fundraisers. So what I can do with the fundraiser, if you have an established kitchen, is we can just do a straight up fundraiser. If you don't have an established kitchen, but you just don't really want a lot of stuff, we can do a modified fundraiser, which is basically where you get some of the stuff for free, and then I get some of the stuff for free, and you get all of my commission. So there's a lot of different ways we can do that, but contact me either by commenting, on the show. Yep, double trouble. Or just message me privately. So we're almost at a full boil here. We're going to let it boil without me stirring it for 15 to 20 seconds. And of course, knowing me, I don't actually time anything. So until I think it's about right. We've got the Krispies ready to go. And then I want to show you how cool this spatula really is. So, as you guys know, we put honey in here. Honey on pans usually is kind of hard to scrape off, especially when you let it boil and sit. So we're going to pour this into the Rice Crisps. And then we're going to use the spatula to really get as much of that as possible out. And to be honest, I'm not even using that much of my muscle. I'm just scraping it along. And you can see relatively how clean that pan is. And again, that wasn't me scraping and searching and looking. It was just one swoop of my spatula. And then I get into the bowl, and now kind of the spoon part of this takes over. And I can mix and turn, crunch. You can kind of, I don't know if you can hear the snap, crackle, and pop. And yes, Cindy, I'll post the recipe. I'll even bring over some testers for you and the fam. And then if you come up with slightly drier crisps than you want, then you do one of two things. You can be patient because usually it'll start soaking it up and as you move it around. Or you can add in just slightly more water. Or if you want a little bit extra of a sweetness, you can put some sugar in, some simple syrup in there, or some honey and water together. But as you can see, by just being slightly patient, I was able to get all of this mixed together. So this here is the base. So those of you that have had Cliff Bars or regular protein bars, it's kind of that same consistency, where it's a little gooey and it's got some crisp to it. That's pretty tasty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press. So we're going to just take about, call it half of a big scoop, and we're going to put it into each portion. It is still a little bit warm, so just be wary. Don't burn your fingers off, as I'm trying to do. And because I'm going to be eating the majority of these, you guys will see me lick my fingers, taste it, all that kind of stuff. But uh-oh, Cindy. I'm not sure where it froze on you, but I said yes, of course I'm going to post the recipe, and you guys are even going to get a little bit of a taster of it. So this is supposed to make 10 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you're doing if you're a macro tracker, like I attempt to be most of the time, you want to make sure that you actually measure out the final weight of this, and then put that total weight in your calculator, and then each piece you're going to measure out, and that's going to be your serving for that day, if that makes sense. Okay. So we're going to push this. Nope, this one's a little bit light, so. Steal from Peter to pay Paul. Got a lot of Christianity references today. Alright. So we're going to push these all into the bottom. Just make sure you get a nice little square form, because why use a browning pan if you're not caring about the square form? That one's a little small too. Probably because it's all over my fingers. A way, if you wanted to reduce how much is on your fingers versus in the pan, is you can slightly butter your fingers or oil your fingers a little bit. Got some really big pieces in here, and then it won't stick to you as much. You can also water your fingers a little bit, just to give it a little less friction. This one's a little bit thick too. Alright, so once these are all pushed in, we're going to do the last step, which is the topping. Let me rinse my hands real quick. So, again, for those of you that watch my Whip It Up Wednesdays, you know I never go to any party without my best friend Manuel, mainly because he likes to dance and I don't. So Manuel is going to show off now. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of peanuts. Now, let's say you are one of those unfortunate souls that are allergic to peanuts, like my niece, or my nephew, sorry, it's actually my nephew. And 2 tablespoons of the peanut butter chips. Then you can replace most of these ingredients with a nut that does not make you break out or make you go into anaphylactic shock, if that exists. If it doesn't exist, then I will come up with a nut-free recipe for one of my next shows. Maybe not the very next one, but a couple later. And then so it's 2 tablespoons of peanuts, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter chips, and then 6 pretzel twists. 5, 6. Now I'm going to add 2 more because I think 6 is way too little for something that is called the pretzel peanut butter bar. And then, Manuel, this is more like a slow dance. It's just kind of the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do 6, and then we're going to take a look at it. So as you can see, there's kind of some big chops. We're going to go a little bit finer than that, especially with the pretzel bits, because we want to make sure each bite you get a little bit of pretzel, and you get a little bit of peanut, and a little bit of peanut butter chip. Alright, so that's our topping. So another way that you can do that, if you unfortunately do not have Manuel, is you can throw it in a bag and beat it with the mix and chop. Or throw it into a cup and just press down with the mix and chop. So we're just going to add these toppings, a little bit on each one, and then we're going to press into it. And basically what I'm doing is I'm doing kind of a 1 claw. So if you consider that a claw grab, you don't want a big claw, just kind of a medium-sized claw grab of each. You want to make sure you get kind of each flavor item, so you have something nice and yummy to bite into each time. And then this one gets the crumbs. I actually don't like to put the crumbs in there, so you can see there's still some more fine tuned. And then we're just going to push it down and just make sure it sinks right in, because you don't want that stuff falling out. And then we're going to place it into the fridge so it cools. And by the magic of Facebook television, I have a small batch that I did earlier, so we'll see how it comes out. So, one of the things that I always do on my shows is if you buy a brownie pan from me, I will throw this in for free. This is our small nylon spatula, and it works perfect for the brownie pan. So you just kind of get in there, lift the edge a little bit. So I didn't let these get cold enough, really, nor did I press everything down. But there is our peanut butter protein bar. And it's just this perfect little size. If you let it harden a little bit better, it won't be as flimsy. But let's see how it tastes. That's really good. It's got a nice, like, chewy texture, but then the topping adds that crunch to it. So, anyhow, that's Whip It Up Wednesday. We'll see you guys next week. Comment below if you have something in particular you'd like me to cook, because I'm always looking for ideas. See you guys later.